Este es el comienzo de lo que habíamos prometido, una entrevista junto a Morbid Angel, y aquí está David a mi lado. David, you don't speak in Spanish?
No. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, so that's no problem. We're going subtitle. So,
okay.
Okay. It's great to meet you at last. It's great to meet the band. I saw you guys live yesterday and you were powerful, very powerful.
Well, it's been a while since we played in the South Florida area, so it was really good to see not only a lot of familiar faces from the times that we played before, but also a lot of new fans as well. So I think this kind of music is continuing to be very strong.
Let's talk about this album. This is el último álbum, el Domination of Morbid Angel. Which are the difference between this new one and the Last Covenant?
Well, I'd have to say that the production on the new CD is much stronger, and I think by and large the songwriting too has evolved to a new stage where it even includes more of a broader spectrum than we've ever had before, which is adding that next dimension to Morbid Angel.
Now, as this Morbid Angel, maybe it made a difference because you work Morbid Angel again with a producer. You work with the producer.
Yes, we did work with a producer this time. His name is Bill Kennedy.
Okay.
And I can tell you I'm very pleased with the way that things came out with Bill. He is not what you'd call a death metal guy. This is the first death metal band that he's ever done. He's worked with Trent Reznor in the past.
Okay.
He's worked with Tom Jones of all people. So he's actually a very, very broad guy. And I think he helped us. He just knows good, powerful sound, and I think he helped us achieve what we're looking for with Domination.
Maybe this lineup, Morbid Angels lineup, the one you're playing now, for some like you, Trey, it's the ideal one now.
I agree.
Because of Eric now playing the guitar and
yes, I think that this works the best now. Eric has been a very good addition to our band. He's not only a very good technical player, but his creativity is very similar to the lines that Morbid Angel had before.
He contributed in some stuff.
He has. He contributed to writing several of the songs on the record.
Okay. We're going to talk about videos now because we're going to go to God of Emptiness, which is a great video.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, great video. Which is how do you try to translate your lyrics into such strong images? It's kind of hard.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people don't realize this, but these video directors that you see, they're artists as well, and they have a lot of ideas. So normally what happens is the band submits a song to the director, I should say, and then they are able to get their impressions of the music, and they write up what is called a treatment for the video.
Okay.
Now, when this treatment comes back, the band gets down and they sit with the various directors and they read over the treatments and find what is the closest to the band's vision on it. And sometimes it may be something completely different, but our main intent, since these are not live videos, is to have something that comes across that's very expressive, that's very artistic, that's strong, and that shows a whole different side to the band.
Okay, it really shows. Vamos a ver esta obra de arte que se llama God of Emptiness. Junto a David, eso es Morbid Angel.
It's kind of different from something we've done in the past, but it's still real strong. That's the main thing. We want to make sure that everything that's all about this band is, always has that extra strength involved, so people can really feel like, they're watching Morbid Angel as opposed to, something else.
It's weird because in a heavy metal bands, we don't talk about in a heavy metal language about singles and why because it's a single. Why it's a single? Because it's a personal favorite?
Well, with death metal and the heavier thrash metal and this kind of stuff, it's usually the band says, well, this is what we want to do, because there's not like a hit single. There's not. We don't expect to sell billions of this kind of record, because this is a very selective form of music. And that's one thing that I've noticed with the fans of heavier music. They are such terrifically loyal fans. When they like a band, they love a band because it's not background music for them. They go and they want to see a show, and they get so involved and put so much energy into it. And that's why I think that the fans and the bands that do the heavy music thing, as opposed to these other kinds of music, a much better bond between the audience and the artist. So it's a thing makes for better live shows, better records, better videos, and just more soul involved in it, I think.
Let's talk about. I don't want to touch the lyrics of Domination, but as a general point, your philosophy, the philosophy of Morbid Angel, through these 10 years, you have shown which are the common ground. I mean, we have talked a lot about Danzig's imaginative worlds, like Evil, King Diamond, Merciful Fate. Which is the philosophy of life?
Well, let me just say, and this is probably the easiest way to do it. I think that Morbid Angel is all about achievement and all about personal building and personal achievement. And we try to, there's a lot of people that go through life almost with their eyes closed, and they're part of what, it's like a sheep mentality, like a herd of sheep, and they just move around and do whatever happens to be fashionable at the time, and they don't really think for themselves. And we think that if people really applied themselves and really tried to reach their highest potential, that, you know, the world would be a much better place. So we always encourage people to think for themselves and to question things when it comes in front of them, to decide, is this really right for me or not?
Oh,
you know?
That's very interesting. I mean, we can talk hours about that, but it's, yeah,
it's a very deep thing.
It's like in this common ground with dancing, it would be like a brand new God, a God that is inside of us.
Well, there is a lot of power inside of us that we need to tap into, regardless of what people around us try to, you know, there's always an agenda and an ulterior motive to someone who tries to make you believe something. Don't ever forget that.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that later. This is the Rapture Morbid Angel. It's been great to talk. I mean, as I told you before, we've been talking like we could talk hours.
We could talk forever.
About it. Yeah, forever.
We could take a whole show sometime. Maybe you can invite me back and we'll talk for a whole show. How about that?
Okay, that sounds great. Let's talk about now the lyrics itself. The lyrics in Domination. You are responsible for most part of the lyrics.
Me?
Yeah. So there's a lot of. I mean, my question is, you think about like hell, devil, Satan as figures of speech, as metaphors to something else. There's so many good things about this, like the world you're creating.
Yeah, it's really, there's no one solid definition. I leave things very open-ended to a lot of different interpretations. There's always many different ways to look at something, and I try to illustrate this point with the way that I write lyrics, leaving them kind of open to interpretation. So when someone asks me, what does this mean? I say, well, what does it mean to you?
Whatever.
You know, I try to get people to think for themselves, and it may mean two totally different things to two totally different people. But the point is that people have thought about what does it mean to them, and this is our whole message: is get people to think for themselves. You know.
Okay, Domination in terms of music, heavier, faster. Which is the way to? There's some nice song here, Caesar Palace.
Yeah, you like that?
Very heavy.
Well, yeah, it's real heavy. It's a little slower, but it's also
it's
a very it's like a fantasy departure, thinking about, you know, going back in time and living living in
Hail Caesar and everything.
Caligula area. Yeah.
But there's something like you try to get into a slower stuff, or you kept the balance.
On balance, this is what we've tried to do. We've always had real fast, crushing, in your face, just heavy stuff. And we've always had like more middle kind of really tripped out, spaced out stuff. We try to make a real soundscape of a record where when somebody sits down and they listen to it with their headphones on, it takes them on a journey somewhere. It takes them away, and they can really, you know, they can travel with us through a whole bunch of different worlds.
Okay, let's talk about traveling. Traveling, you're doing a great tour. Yesterday we saw a trio of a Malevolent Creation, Grip Inc., Morbid Angel. How did you put together this tour with Grip Inc.?
Well, yeah, Grip Inc. is the actual band that we're touring with. Malevolent was a special guest for yesterday only. But yeah, Dave Lombardo has his new band, and we're very happy to be touring with them. I think, you know, they're doing a real good job. Slightly different style. Well, much different style to Morbid Angel. But I think it makes for a good tour. So far, we get along with the guys really well. So I'm only looking forward to have a good, successful tour.
So are you planning to go how long?
Well, we're going a month and a half here in the States. And then we depart from Grip, and then we go over to Europe. We're going to tour for a month. Come back here, probably Japan, Australia, and maybe South as well.
We're going to talk more about tours because it's important, because Latin America, you know, it's waiting.
Yeah.
But we're going to watch Grip Inc. Esto es Ostracized. Ostracized.
Right job is we don't want.
Seguimos en Headbangers junto a David, the Morbid Angel. Let's talk about, we stopped in the Latin American part.
Right.
You having plans for going to Latin America again?
Well, I know for sure that we're going to Mexico soon. There's already been discussion about that. But I tell you, I'd really like to be able to get down to Chile and Argentina and Colombia and wherever we can have a show. It's just, there's been a problem with being able to find promoters that are up and up, that are going to, you know, do the right job. Because we don't want to go down and have, you know, a lot of problems or whatever. But you know, I hope that we're able to work this out soon, because I know there's a lot of fans.
Man,
you know,
heavy
Latin
crowds
America.
in Argentina,
right.
Heavy crowds. And which is the difference that you can tell? You've been in Brazil, you've been in Mexico. Which is the difference between the metal crowd? Is the same?
Well, I would have to say that, I mean, overall, in the Latin American countries, people are just, wow, it's crazy. I mean, you know, you play and it's just, they're just absolutely bananas, you know, which is great, because that just makes us want to put that much more into the show. You know, when we see the audience giving that energy, we give it back, and it just culminates into this big explosion, you know what I mean? It's killer.
Morbid Angel is the band which I think, in my opinion, among with the ones of Death or Slayer, are the one that cornerstone of death metal music, thrash death metal music. So which are your responsibility for the future in terms of making music and try to experiment in new things? Because you're kind of leaders in that.
I tell you, we have a commitment that we made not only to ourselves but to the fans, that we are always going to, number one, stay true to what we are, number two, be as honest as we can about our creativity, and never sell out.
Okay, that's important, and that shows you were one of the first underground bands that went like working with a
major label.
With a major label.
Right.
How did it feel? It's kind of it's better at the
it's
in the
better.
long run?
It's better in the sense that they are able to provide us with the best distribution, and with being able to make videos, you know, for Headbangers Ball and whatnot. Which the underground labels don't normally have the ability to do this. You know, the financial and you know the big powerful companies able to open more doors for the band. Thankfully, they have not put any type of creative restrictions on us, so we still do exactly what we feel.
Okay.
And I think that's the most important thing for us.
What do you think of the ones like Slayer or Sepultura, to name a few, which has been like gold records among thrash metal music? It's kind of weird.
I think that it's, you know, I'm very happy for anybody who really works hard and tries to achieve success, you know, through hard work. I never blame anybody for hard work. I can't say that, you know, the types of music that some of these play, I like a little heavier than that, but it's, you know, it's good to see that people really are working hard, and that that heavier music, that the fans want it. They want heavy music. You want heavy music. Yeah. Imagine now in America, there is no more Headbangers Ball, so hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll get it back in their minds that they want to do this. You know?
Okay, that's gonna last 10 years. There's no problem. Last thing, personal favorites. Trey mentioned here Eddie Van Halen as an influence on the guitar. You have some influence in the bass or in the vocal part?
I would have to say that old Black Sabbath was probably my biggest influence, and I was really, you know, really into the really deep lyrics. Ozzy had some, you know, really, really deep stuff. So that influenced me, well, you know, from when I was very small, so.
Maybe Ozzy is coming next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's going to be great. That's going to be great. Ya les dimos un avance. It's not official, but it's coming. You want to program something?
Yeah, you have Cannibal Corpse?
Cannibal Corpse, okay.
Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead, you have that? Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
It was a pleasure. Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead. Es la petición de David and Headbangers Cannibal Corpse.